Welcome to AJ Production. In this tutorial, I am targeting mainly educative material. At very first, I would like to introduce myself. I have done PhD in Computer Science and Software Engineering at Edith Cowan University. As well as I am certified Java programmer. On the other hand, I have obtained a diploma in computer hardware. Let me come to the topic. So I thought of initially starting the computer programming, which is mainly Java program. Before that, you must know the basic information of computer. So the following tutorial, I will start from the scratch to the upper level from my tutorial series. In order to keep getting the information, please subscribe my channel and get the latest tutorial. So some might think that why need a computer basic knowledge, because in order to be a computer programmer in long term it is very important. So we'll move on to the next slide. What is a computer? What is software and hardware? What is UI? What is CPU? What is a computer architecture? What is networking? What is internet? What is URL? What is input and output devices, particular devices? What is memory and secondary memory? What is central processing unit? So these are the main areas I am going to cover. So we need to have this basic knowledge. Without this basic knowledge, going to upper level in vain, because without the basic knowledge it is very difficult to study a language. So you have to have the foundation knowledge of these things. So we'll move on to the next slide. What is a computer? When you see this at a stretch, you will understand what is a computer. But in our field, a lot of people are using computers. So what is actually computer? When you come to this point, you might think that exactly what is a computer. There are so many meaning, but the simple answer is computer is a system which is include hardware and software which work together to help us solve a problem. So when you think hardware, software which work together solve a problem. Imagine using a computer, calculate two numbers, 1 plus 1, 2. You get the answer, you get the solution. So that's what the computer does. That is simple theory behind the computer, but and the meaning of the computer. So let's move on to the slide. What is a hardware? You have seen so many computers in the worldwide. So what is a hardware? Hardware, desktop computer, speakers, keyboard, mouse. There are so many items. So computer hardware is the item that is inside the computer. Actually a physical item which is touch and feel. So there are can be more than this. For example, chips, boxes, wires, speakers, disc, cables, plus. Simply, computer hardware is a physical item of a computer. More than this, you need to study well. But if you are specializing in some other area, you must know. But for the basic level, to study a program language, if you know the basic of this hardware, this is enough. What is a software? You have seen so many people are using software in industry, at home, at school, but we'll find the definition. Actually, software is a set of instruction and data tell the computer how to perform a task. So there are two areas in software: system programs, application software. When you come to software, we can separate two areas. So I have separated the system programs, application programs. Under system program, operating system. So main part of the computer is the computer operating system. In short, we call OS. In here, it contains hardware and the resources. Example, CPU, memory. So the main part of the operating system is to check whether the program run in the hardware smoothly. For example, operating system most powerful software in hardware because it utilizes the hardware performance and the applications and check whether things are working smoothly. For example, if we take operating system Windows 10, Windows XP, Mac OS, Linux. Linux is the open source software which is available in the industry freely. Open source, you can get it freely. These are the areas. So application program. So you can see operating system from bottom to up. Application software is available. Application software. Application software is a software that run on the operating system. Application software can be word processing, database management, Excel sheet. So there are so many applications. For the time need, you need to no need to study a lot of software, but just keep in mind what are the application software and system programs. So we'll move to the next slide. What is a GUI? Graphical user interface. Most modern operating system and applications use graphical interfaces. The graphical interface includes there are so many items. This picture is of the Windows 10 and this is a graphical user interface. In, when you get the GUI, graphical user interface, it has windows, icons, pull down menus, scroll bars, buttons. It's a graphical user interface. So the interface is the main part of the operating system and the application software that user interact. For example, user can talk with the system via graphical user interface. Use the graphical user interface to communicate with the system on the other operating system. Okay. So the GUI is also itself a program. You will move on to next slide. What is a computer architecture? So when we are studying a particular language, when we are coding, we must have a knowledge of what is a computer architecture. Here you see central processing unit, main memory, disk controller, video controller, 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 other graphical devices. So this controller must be the hard disk, video controller can be the monitor, and control other controllers can be input output devices. But these controllers convert the particular hardware information into the data, and video controller convert that particular item into data. Controllers also convert their particular information into data. So data and connect to the processor, or the main memory via bus. So central processing step by step processing information. Memory will store all the information. This is the slight understanding of computer architecture. So when you see a computer, you don't see these things, but you are not directly accessing the central processor main memory. You are using hardware items through hardware items, output input device. We are using the central processor main memory. That's all for this slide. So we'll move on to the next slide. Input and output devices. Here I have mentioned so many areas. What is input? Input, what we input to the system. For example, keyboard, mouse, mic. We input the information to the data to the computer. So by inserting, we put in information to the computer. But when you output, output is what we get from the computer. Can be a monitor, speaker. These are things. Here I have given some example, real life example. You can study little these things. For the time being, we move on to the next slide. What is a main memory and second memory? What is a main memory? This is actually a RAM, random access memory, people call it. If this has a capacity 128, 256, 512, 1 GB, it goes till 8 GB. More than that, the technology is developing, evolving. Due to that, there are so many storage capacities. So, and at so when someone want to access a particular memory location in the RAM or the memory, he has to access the address of that particular memory location. Memory location store the bytes and bits of the information. So main memory is usually volatile, meaning that the information stored in will be lost if its electrical power supply is turned off. That means every information on the memory is main memory temporary. So when you switch off the computer, information will be goes off. And when you talk about secondary memory is permanent storage. It's non-volatile. The term non-volatile and volatile come to parallel this when you're talking about memory. Main memory, volatile, secondary, non-volatile. So when you get an example, hard disk, CD-ROM, USB. In these areas, information is stored in a magnetic field manner. For example, magnetic medium. Use magnetic medium to keep this information. Even without power, it can stay the information there. So you are utilizing hard disk, CD-ROM, use USB. So we'll move on to next slide. Central processing unit. So when you see a computer, you don't see this at once. But before starting this, I have to give you some simple idea. When you see a computer, you have to open the case of the computer. On the computer, when you remove the case of the computer, on the board you will see the processor. On the motherboard, only the processor is existing. So before going into in detail, just I will tell the basic scenario. What is the inside of the processor? It says inside of the processor, control unit, register, arithmetic knowledge unit are existing. Out of that, main memory is available. So control unit control all the information, register store information, arithmetic logical unit make the decision, all the calculation. In here, main memory and the CPU communicate each other using bus. That's a way of communication in the computer field. The concept of storing both program instruction data together in a main memory is the underlying principle of the non-Neumann architecture of computer design named after John Neumann, who first advanced this program concept in 1945. So there is a history for this non-Neumann architecture. John Neumann who introduced this architecture or the way of handling things in the CPU. So for the time we no need to go deep, but if you know the idea of these small things which will give you a basic understanding of computer CPU. So when you see a motherboard or the processor where the so the every component exists on the computer motherboard. There are other chips contained on the motherboard. Main important circuit board is the system clock. System clock. So in order to computer to work faster, we need fast CPU or the processor. The processor is measured in megahertz. NTM4 or it goes to Wi-Fi, advanced level. So if the megahertz is high, the computer speed is high. So we'll move on to the next slide. What is a network? Network is two or more computers connect together so they exchange information. So here you don't need much of information, but we have to know what is a network. Every computer has an address to identify the computer in the network. So they communicate with each other using these identities. A small technique to improve network today is used to divide the large message into segments called packets. So we send these packets via using software to the computer, then you can communicate. So these are simple things that use computer communicate each other. You don't need to have a lot of knowledge in networking, but when we are doing coding, we go in deeper rather than go at once to the high level. So we have to have a basic knowledge of networking. So in here, local area, wide area are the small concept you have to follow. So we'll move on next slide. What is internet? Internet is a wide area network that covers globe. It's actually called networks of networks. It covers a vast area. So you need to access information to this computer. So www dot use software to browse the internet. The browser is the software used to communicate with each other. In browser we communicate to each other. So there is a protocol, a set of rules how two things communicate each other. That means how the computers communicate each other. They are using TCP/IP software. So TCP is transmission control protocol, internet protocol. They are using these softwares to communicate with each other. So no need to go in depth in here. But when you are studying web development, we are going to study in detail. For the time being, just keep in mind what is internet. Internet versus World Wide. Internet means network of network. World Wide Web is you can use the application softwares in the computer. You don't need to go to other computers. World Wide Web is inside the single computer. No need to use more computers. We can be using LAN or single computer. Softwares available in the computer, even on a single machine to display HTML document, you can use the World Wide Web. These are softwares. So can differentiate the internet. Internet is network or networks. World Wide Web is the software which is available in the single computer to communicate with other computers or the distributed computers. So actually it's in a single machine. What is URL? Uniform Resource Locator. So HTTP wbookstore.com. So www is the hypertext transfer protocol. We use that protocol to transfer information to the other area. So computer uses this software to find the file in the other computers. For example, this bookstore is the file in the other computer. The www particular signature or the statement is using to access the file. For example, www.yahoo.com, www.google.com. These are the examples. So you have come to the at the end of the session. So keep this in mind. So if you don't need to go in depth in these areas, but if you have slight knowledge of these areas, if you have the basic knowledge of these area, which will help you to as a programmer to improve yourself, because without this we can't go to a programming level, because you should have the basic programming level. If you know the output input devices, networking, world wide web, memory, random access memory, secondary memory, these things have to be keep in mind, because without this we can't go to do a coding. In order to be a fluent in coding, you have to keep in mind basic things. So please subscribe to my channel in order to get more tutorial. In upcoming tutorial, I will be talking about more about other areas.